With all his wealth, power, and strong presence in the media, it's almost impossible to not know the man named Donald Trump. He's someone that you definitely need to know about, as he is currently a candidate in the upcoming 2016 election for President of the United States. All of us. Donald Trump is currently leading the polls for the Republican Party, and so him becoming president is actually a good possibility. If that happens, then minorities are going to have a much harder time living in this country. Donald Trump should not be allowed to run for president because his ideas for a new America are destructive and they breed ignorance. In this video, we will discuss why Donald Trump is unfit to be president of this country. Secondly, we will discuss how his ideas came to be. And lastly, we'll discuss why it's better for him not to be president of our country.
Donald Trump isn't a suitable president for the United States at all whatsoever. First of all, we need a president who cares about both the lower class and the upper class citizens. We need somebody who is able to make wise decisions to try to benefit both classes. Donald Trump only cares about the upper class. He doesn't really care much about the lower class because he doesn't know the struggle of the lower class because he was raised by money through his father. According to the Federalist Papers Project, the billionaire only donated $3.7 million from 1998 to 2009 to his own foundation of charity. Other people who have donated in his foundation, they donated way more than he has. Candidates run for president of the United States of America, they tend to say a lot of things that they will do that they do not fulfill. Our country needs somebody who is definitely trustworthy and knows the government system. Trump, on the other hand, he has no politician experience at all whatsoever and doesn't know exactly how the system works. Unlike Obama, he went to school to be a lawyer, so he knows the law very well. And Donald Trump, he is a real estate agent. Donald Trump says things and he doesn't really think things clearly, so people who do agree with him sometimes agree with the things that he says, yet don't really think about how he might not be able to fulfill those requirements that he's saying that he will fulfill. For example, he wanted to build a wall in Mexico that cost about $8 to $10 billion, and not only can we afford that because that's a lot of money to build in Mexico, but he expects Mexico to do it, which they have way less money than we do. So this just shows that he doesn't think things clearly because there's a much longer process that things have to go through in order to make his wise decisions. The United States is supposed to represent both equality and liberty, the two things that we fought for. Donald Trump doesn't respect that at all whatsoever because he makes people who live in America feel unwelcomed. For example, there's people who live here who are really good Americans who disagree with Donald Trump and feel as if he becomes president they want to move, not only because they disagree with a lot of things that he's saying, but because he's making California, the United States, whatever, feel a target to a lot of enemies because he's disrespecting our enemies first of all, and then he's disrespecting our allies as well, in which we need because we rely on them for resources. He makes people feel as if America isn't somewhere where they can come and express themselves and be who they are, because he points them out on TV and makes fun of them, and he's very horrible. He doesn't want people to feel as if the America is for everyone and every single nationality. He wants it to be just for white people and for people who are just Christians, not even any other religions, which is really wrong because, like I said, America is supposed to be somewhere where people can be themselves and not be judged and be free.
As my colleague mentioned, Trump has no political background, which makes him oblivious to things surrounding him. Not only that, but he lacks a lot of reasoning. Trump was always disciplined, and at a young age he was sent off to New York Military Academy and later graduated from college from Warren School of Finance in Pennsylvania in a degree in economics. He was influenced by his father to make a career in estate development, and after his graduation he actually joined his father's company. Throughout his whole career, or this whole time, he was settled more in his economic life, and it wasn't really until the year 2000 when he finally decided whether he should seek the Reforms Party nomination in the 2000 presidential race. He, however, didn't, and after that went back to his economic state developments. He focused more on that, but later announced that he was considering running again in 2012, but again ended up not until the year 2016, which is now when he decided to finally run for president. So throughout these whole years, he was more focused on economics and not so much on political issues, which makes him not so much of a great candidate, knowing that he didn't put 100% in politics. The other problem that was mentioned was the fact that Donald Trump is racist. This mainly comes due to the fact that Trump believes in white supremacy. And basically the votes prove that as well. According to writer Diana Belmuck of the Washington Post, she states that Trump supporters are white, less educated, middle-aged, and older people. Basically, those people who are anxious and angry for losing ground as the American economy changes. And Trump obviously feels the same way, since he is trying to kick out most of the people here from America. And obviously racism is something that should not be even close to still happening. And the fact that he brings things up like this on how he wants to build a wall between the US and Mexico and wants to kick out all the Muslims, that is something a president should never be talking about, which is why he should not run for president and is a bad candidate. And so now that I discuss the problems of the ill and why the ill exists, I will now let my colleague give more information on the cure and how we could prevent all this from happening or from Donald Trump running.
As stated earlier, Donald Trump should not be allowed to run for president due to his lack of experience and his political ideas. If Americans prevent Donald Trump from running for president, then they won't have to deal with a man making bad decisions with other countries. Trump has shown in the past that he's not capable of holding relations with other countries. Because of his statement on Mexican immigrants, calling them, quote, rapists, Trump has lost business partnership with Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim. According to CNN Money, Slim's spokesman Arturo Elias Ayeb was, quote, totally out of line, and working with someone with so close-minded was out of the question, end quote. Ayeb's remark on the situation is true. As a businessman, Donald Trump showed that he can't respect other people's values. What makes him capable of representing a whole country? This is why the American people should prevent Donald Trump from running for presidency. Americans should stop supporting Donald Trump in his political campaigns. Quote, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, end quote. Trump has said at a campaign rally. Trump proclaims that his followers are loyal, so loyal that he could shoot somebody and wouldn't lose any followers. What type of presidential candidate jokes? If Donald Trump starts losing followers, he would lose a strong support system of his campaign, which would discourage him to keep running for president.
So after hearing us speak about this topic, hopefully now you know why Donald Trump should not be allowed to run for president. First, we talked about why he is unfit to run our country. Secondly, we talked about why his ideas just would not work. And lastly, we discussed why it would just be overall much better for him to not be the president. So now that you know what Donald Trump is really like, do you really want him running our country?